Welcome to a new edition of the Market Reporters. As you know, every week we look back at the stock market, and this week, we couldn't find really like one topic that caught our attention, so we want to give you a broader perspective of what is going on the stock market. Mr. Casper.
Yes, and what's happening in the world from an economical perspective. What you see is that in the European newspapers and TV stations that there's a lot of information, and we also thought, okay, there's not a lot of information, so we skip the flock. No, but there is always something going on. Well, what you see, that the European journalists, they focus quite a lot on Europe, and I think there are some big things are outside of Europe. We will discuss that in the US and China, and that are important things that you should know. Yeah. You should be aware of it as an investor.
Absolutely. Yeah, let me start with Twitter. Twitter X, as it is called now, it's banned in Brazil, and that was quite some news because that means there's a lot of big impact in, what can and what can you not see, and this week X was banned for all the Brazilians, so it's a big market where all of a sudden they're not visible anymore. And it was mainly because of the fact that the Brazilian government thinks there's misinformation being given to the audience, to the public in this case, and that's the Brazilian people.
But also that they don't do enough. So X doesn't do enough. Yeah, to see what's fake news or what is news that's according to them not allowed to transfer, and that's a difficult discussion.
Very difficult discussion. Yes.
It was also with the guy that was arrested in Paris, the founder and the CEO and the owner of Telegraph, and he's accused of a couple of things. But also one of the things, the main things, that's a discussion that I think that's really difficult to come to a conclusion. It's okay. Where do we draw the line from content that you don't allow on your platforms? And some of them, and Musk is also a little bit, of course. I want to have an open platform, but you also have to deal with law and legislation. And you can have the discussion in Spain, but there is another law and legislation in Brazil. So it's a really difficult discussion. But this is quite an impact because I was in Brazil last year. It's a huge country with a lot of people, with a lot of content.
Absolutely. Then something was going on in our sector, but not in Spain, but in China, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a merge is announced of the two biggest stockbrokers of China, and I have to see the names again because I didn't know them. Haitong Securities and Guotai Gunan Securities, and they have a balance total of $230 billion, quite a lot. And the main reason because it's a consolidation in the market, and it's of course. The market in China is not that good internally for private investors, mainly due to the big losses in the real estate industry over the last couple of years. So a lot of people don't have that many savings or money anymore left to invest.
Correct. Yeah, and if I want to hook into that, if you look at a Dutch company, was also in the news as Flow Traders. Flow Traders, suffering the last couple of years. They're not doing quite well.
What are they doing?
Flow Traders is a market-making company. So basically, the prices that you see in your screen when you trade, for instance, with options, many times they're given out by companies like Flow Traders. Also, you have Optiver and other bigger players, and they create liquidity. And when you saw, for instance, in 2020 with the COVID crash, they made a fortune. They really made about €10 per share. At this moment, they're not even at 20 cents. So they're really suffering. They're not making as much money as they were making, of course, in those moments. But it could also be a signal that if you see the line of the volatility, of the panic in the market, it's at the same price level as the Flow Trader shares. If you would draw two lines, you see. So it might also be a signal to, that if something happens, that Flow Trader will, of course, benefit from that.
Yeah, we spoke about it in the past years ago. Is that if you want to hedge your portfolio, and we explained a little bit how you can do it with options, how you can do it with CFDs, but also if you don't want to have leveraged products, then shares like a Flow Traders, they benefit from high volatility. Correct. And when it's normally high volatility, when markets go down. So you saw this week was one day that all the shares, they were almost all on red, but this one was on green. So it's like a hedging your portfolio, and also you see now more institutional investors are taking position in those kind of shares.
You see a really big rise in institutional ownership, and that's
it can be a sign,
because that can be definitely a sign. Yeah.
So what I said in the beginning, we filter news where we think it's some little signs for that investors can use.
NVIDIA. What's going on?
So all the investors know about NVIDIA. And NVIDIA, the owner, they sold for 5.9 billion of shares.
5.9 million shares.
5.9 billion of shares.
Million. For a value.
Yeah. Sorry. But Tuesday the share dropped. It's also because about the investigation that the US is starting up against them. But the drop of almost 10% of the share that had a value of 279 billion, and that's the largest single day decline in stock history.
Yeah, that says something. I mean, if you look at a company like Flow Traders, they're worth 790 million, and this is 290 billion. That was gone lost.
What is positive the last months this year? What's going up? It's gold.
Gold. Yes.
You now look at the price. It's 1 troy ounce, so 31.1 gram, is trading above the $2,500.
Yes.
And it's almost the highest point. And there are a lot of people that like gold. They always have position in gold. Some people, they don't like it because they say it doesn't give any dividend. The fact is that it goes up. And we got we receive really a lot of questions from investors. How can I mainly go long in gold, but also they ask sometimes, now it's now high, I don't see the reason why, so I want to go short in gold. And through the stock market, it's really good to do. And Martin made a vlog this week. He recorded. It's now in the edit with the editors, you call them. And next week we have a separate vlog. During the week it will come out, and where Martin only talks about gold and how you can invest in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay tuned for that one.
And America, there's also a big thing going on. Maybe you heard of it, but it's also an example that you don't see a lot in the European news. US Steel, that was the backbone, part of the backbone of the US in the part, that is almost sold to a Japanese big steel company, Nippon Steel. And the unions are against it. And also Biden interfered in discussion. He also said that we shouldn't sell it. It should be a national. It should be a national company. It's so important. And also Harris said it, and also Trump said it, that it would be better not to sell it outside the U.S. Why do they want to sell it? The CEO, the board says no. We have to sell it because we are losing market share from countries like Japan or from India. And Japan has a more advanced method of producing, so we can benefit from it. So it's a really big clash, because if the deal is not going through, maybe shareholders are not happy, because it would be better if they could join a big company from Japan. But on the tension between Japan and the US is on the background is increasing, because the Japanese say, okay, you're protecting your market and you don't allow us, you are interfering in it. So follow that. It's an important thing. And last thing I want to close off, also because I just mentioned Trump, and I looked it up, is that when Trump went social with Trump Media, so his social media platform, when he went public with his platform, I think he did it really well, because he cashed, and after the introduction, after the IPO, the value of Trump Media lost 75% of value.
Yeah, that's good for him. No?
Yeah.
And also good for the new shareholders. What was positive from the US to finish off with was Ford. Ford had really good sales figures, 13.4% more sales, mainly due to the sales of pickup trucks and SUVs. And that is positive, because we know what's going on with the Western car companies. They're all struggling, mainly if you look at the German companies like Volkswagen and BMW and Mercedes and all those other ones. They're really struggling. Ford was a positive, how do you say that? Positive element in this market. So did really well. Let's see what this will bring for the future for the Chinese companies, if they also manage to bring their footprint further down to the United States. Thank you for watching. Next week we're back, hopefully with some more updates on the labor report that's coming out in a couple of hours. That will possibly give the market.
Market is looking at it. Yeah.
Market is looking at it very badly.
Yeah.
We'll see what it brings.
Yeah, so hopefully we gave you some insight in some items that are interesting for investors and you didn't know yet. So thank you for watching. Give us your thumb. See you next week.